Mr. Rosenstein, your testimony today is that you believe Bob Mueller is a person of high integrity. Is that right?
Yes.
You believe that his investigation is being conducted fairly. Is that correct?
Yes.
You also believe that, and you understand that he's publicly indicted 2 individuals with respect to his investigation.
Correct.
He's also obtained 2 guilty pleas with respect to his investigation.
Correct.
Is there good cause to fire Bob Mueller as we sit here today?
Not to my knowledge.
Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein today tersely saying that he sees no good cause to fire the special counsel Robert Mueller. Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein was in Congress today testifying in the House at a hearing where most of the Republican members of the committee wanted to use that occasion to express their outrage about the terribleness of the Robert Mueller investigation and what feels like an orchestrated effort to set up the country for the fact that Robert Mueller is going to be undermined or perhaps fired by the White House. That's what it feels like, at least from a distance. But joining us now is Congressman Eric Swalwell, Democrat of California, member of the Judiciary Committee that heard that testimony today. Congressman, thank you very much for being here tonight. Much appreciated.
Of course. Thank you, Rachel, for having me back.
So the Justice Department has released to reporters text messages from 2 people who no longer work on the Mueller investigation, in which they discuss political reactions to things going on during the campaign. Republicans have been focused on their texts that were critical of Trump, but we've seen from the released messages that they were also critical of Clinton, of Congress, of Sanders. Do you understand what your Republican colleagues are so upset about with this alleged bias, and what do you make of their complaints?
Rachel, it seems that they're upset that Bob Mueller is making progress in his investigation, and I hear on the Judiciary Committee an ominous drumbeat to continue to discredit Bob Mueller and his team. And I believe that drumbeat is a signal to the president, because many Republicans and Democrats have expressed that firing Bob Mueller without cause would be clearly obstruction of justice. However, obstruction of justice would be referred to the House Judiciary Committee. And if the Judiciary Committee members are signaling that they themselves have problems with Bob Mueller, just like President Trump has expressed that the investigation is a hoax, well, then you can clearly see that there's little deterrent for President Trump from firing Bob Mueller. That's the real concern right now, is that he may have a permissive environment from our committee.
In terms of the, I guess, the other side of the environment that the president may be considering here is what the reaction would be within the Justice Department if he ordered Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to fire Bob Mueller. Clearly, in his response most directly to you, but also in the rest of his responses today, even to Republican members, it seemed like Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein had no interest in entertaining the idea that Mueller is not only fireable, he didn't seem to want to entertain at all the idea that there's any bias or any sort of impermissible behavior or personnel involved in the Mueller investigation.
That's right. And I told Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, we're all counting on him. This investigation is a very narrow bridge, and the most important thing he can do is to not be afraid and fearlessly walk that bridge and show independence, because he may be asked to fire Bob Mueller, and the best thing he can do is to refuse to do so until the president's able to find someone who can, and that would warrant obstruction of justice proceedings.
Congressman, let me ask you about one substantive piece of this investigation that I just don't get. I'm asking you about this as a Judiciary Committee member, also as an Intelligence Committee member. National Security Advisor Mike Flynn pled guilty to lying to the FBI about talking with the Russian ambassador about sanctions. We now know from good reporting that's not contested from the White House that a lot of other Trump transition officials knew that he had had those conversations with the Russians about sanctions. Several of them who were told about those conversations then publicly lied about it. There's been reporting that the special counsel is particularly interested in Flynn's firing, whether there were attempts to obstruct the investigation into him. Given all of that, do you have any sense, anything you can speak about publicly, as to why so many people in the Trump administration publicly lied about Mike Flynn and the fact that he was talking to the Russians about sanctions? Do you have any sense of what was motivating that?
Yeah, Rachel, the pattern here, whether it's around Michael Flynn or anyone else who had contacts with Russia, was to protect candidate or President Trump, and then to protect themselves. And only when the FBI or our investigation or reporting has confronted them with conflicting evidence have they sometimes come around. But also, the other question I have is, why did they allow Michael Flynn to stay on for so long once they knew that he had lied? Now, Bob Mueller, to contrast with President Trump, when he found out he had an agent who had had the perception of for favoritism for for one of the persons being investigated, he was fired immediately. He was let go. And President Trump only fired Michael Flynn once it became a public relations problem for him, if you want to compare the two as far as their character.
Congressman Eric Swalwell of California, Judiciary Committee member, Intelligence Committee member. Really appreciate your time tonight, sir. Nice to see you.
My pleasure.
Thanks,
Rachel.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
The Rachel Maddow Show is